Hello everyone, I'm Mr. Muteti and welcome to my presentation on 19th century imperialism. Alright, so this is the outline of my presentation. I'm going to cover trade patterns, key players in the 19th century imperialism, product traded during that period, and then what were the consequences of the 19th century imperialism trade. Then I'll also look at technological advancements in the 19th century, then consequences of technological advancements. Then I'll also look at technological advancements and the US policies. Then we will also outline critics of the US policies. Then there will be references and the concluding remarks. All right, so in the 19th century, it was a time that Europe became like the control power of the rest of the world. Now, how did this happen? This came as a result of European countries trying to seek greater control and initially control of all the world through the trade patterns. They did this through trading with other parts of the world. And as you can see from this map, most of the activities originated from parts of Europe, western parts of Europe. Then there was the movement from Europe all the way across to the western part of Africa, down to the southern Africa, then all the way back to the Indian and parts of the Southeast Asia that also spread back to China and also to Australia. Then these routes continued from east coast of Africa to Middle East and mainly also again to Asia, that is India. Then again we can see another trade patterns that were occurring from Europe through Central Asia, that is mainly Russia and other countries in that region, all the way to the main parts of Asia, that is China. And then let us also look at another trade pattern that occurred. It was through Mediterranean Sea, through what was known, this part was dug to produce the Suez Canal, then to Red Sea, and then again to Middle East and parts of Asia. Then let us also look at another trade pattern that was occurring. It was from Europe to the United States or the Americas continents, that is the Northern America and Southern America. So basically those were the major trade patterns through the Indian Ocean, Atlantic Ocean, and as well through the Asian continent. From there now, it's good to look at the countries or the key players that were involved in that were taking part in the 19th century imperialism. Now, these were the main key players in the 19th century imperialism. It was the Great Britain, France, Germany, Russia, Netherlands, and of course other European countries, but these were the top leading 5 countries. And on the late 19th century, Japan and the United States joined as imperialist power, which means they also played a major role in imperialism. Now, during that time, it's important to understand what were the main products that were traded in the 19th century. First and foremost, during this time of period, it was a discovery period. A lot was discovered, from machinery to many components that are used today. So one product that was being traded during that time, it was motor vehicles. And now it is interesting to know what type of motor vehicles were being traded. And these were very unique, not like the type of motor vehicles we have today. It was this type of unique motor vehicles as depicted in this picture. And then also the machinery, the very simple, but by that time they were very important machinery, like this sewing machine. They were being traded to many other parts of the world that had not yet been discovered. Another traded commodity during that time, it was clothing. Given that they were interacting with the people from various parts of the world, and especially like in Africa, where there had been no or little clothing, so it was a great opportunity for the European superpowers or imperialism to trade clothes to other parts of the world, because clothes were being produced from Europe. Other products also that were being traded during this period was crops, and especially cotton. And when was cotton a very major product crop to be traded during this time? It is because cotton was used mainly for production of cloth. So it was important for that product to be traded. Right. Another aspect, or you could be seen as a product that was traded heavily during this time, it was slaves. Okay. Slavery became a commercial activity during the 19th century, mainly of the people of African region and other South Americans nationalities. Slaves were captured, traded by both the Europeans, imperialism, and as well by the Arabs or Asians from other parts of the world. So slaves would be captured and they would be sold. And most of these were sold in Europe and America and Southern America for cheap labor. So this is at the end, that's how people of African race ended up living in parts of Europe and in the United States, and also some parts of Southern America. So slavery, yes, it was a major commercial activity, and I like it because this depicts of the origin of the African people in the US and parts of Europe and in South America. So what were the consequences of the trade in the 19th century? One of the many consequences of this trade it brought, it was war. Okay. As good as people might want to look at the importance of imperialism in colonizing and bringing light to the other parts of the world, the negative part of it was that there was a lot of war, and this amassed with a lot of casualties from both sides, the colonizers and the people that were being colonized. There was exchange of fighting, and this led to a lot of loss of life, and this was really a very big consequences of the trade in the 19th century. Not to forget diseases. As human population were being transferred from one place, from one region to another, specifically from Africa to Europe, from Africa to the Southern Americans, to the American continent, and to other parts of the Asia, there were a huge spread of diseases. Okay, disease spread from Europe to Africa, disease spread from Africa to other parts of the world. And then due to poor conditions in those days, poor medical conditions, a lot of people died. A lot of people lost lives. And as you can see, a lot of diseases that were hard to cure infected the human body. As you can see on this diagram on my right hand side is someone like a physician or a doctor trying to examine someone's mouth or part of the affected body through very poor medical conditions. So one thing it was that there was a lot of diseases, that some of the consequences from imperialism, there was huge spread of disease, especially in the Europe. This is the time that they suffered huge casualties due to disease spread that were not easily controlled. So now from that, let us look at technological advancements in the 19th century. So in 1879, Thomas Edison discovered electricity. This was one of the key discoveries that occurred in the 19th century. Okay, electricity was being able to be discovered that changed lives from that time until today. Okay, the invention of electricity by Thomas Edison brought a lot of impact to the human life. Another technological advancements in the 19th century, it was the discovery of locomotives by Richard Trevithick in 1804 from the UK. Okay, this was a very special mode of transport that had never been discovered. And as you can see from this painting, it really brought a lot of excitement to the transportation industry, especially through the mainland. Okay, having looked at the technological advancements, now it's good to look at the consequences of the technological advancements in the 19th century. And I will just compare the two of them, starting with electricity. As depicted from this painting, electricity came with the effects of global warming. This is because the mechanism that is used to produce electricity was highly heated, producing a lot of emission of the carbon dioxide in the space, and which gradually over many years has resorted to global warming, which has resorted to droughts, devastation of people's health, and change of climate. So that has been one of the consequences suffered from the technological advancements that were discovered in the 19th century. And even though that was 3 centuries ago, the effect of it's even been felt in our lives. Okay, then there's also air pollution from locomotive pollution effect. Okay, back then there was a lot of air pollution, and still in the third world countries where they have not embraced the use of technology in locomotives, they still suffer from this air pollution. From the use of the old-fashioned locomotives. Then from there, let us look at technological advancements and the US policy. In the US Environment Protection Act of 2010, it has been unveiling that the technological power plants and any other technology using gadgets have to reduce the emission of carbon dioxide to the air, and that is a act that was enacted in 2010. So the US government has been very strict on technological advancements, and especially towards the environment. So power plants has to provide information on carbon emissions. This has been another policy that the US government has created, that all institutions that are in power plants or the producing of energy, they have to produce details of how much they are producing to the carbon emission they are producing to the environment. And this has been through the Obama administration that has been very key critical on new clean power energy plan. Okay, critics of the US policies. Okay, I'll look on both positive and negative. So on the positive side, it has brought adoption of clean energy that has been more safer and an environment friendly, more than the usual ones that we have seen previously that pollute and affects the environment, and especially the climate. Then on the other negative part of it is that it is expensive to produce. It's quite expensive to produce because it costs a lot of time and investments and a lot of research to come up with such. So here are the references to the work that we have covered, drawn from various research. And then to end, I would like to leave with the following closing remarks from Camille Paglia, that imperialism and slavery are no white male monopoly, but are everywhere from Egypt, Assyria, and Persia to India, China, and Japan. So thank you for your time and for listening to my presentation. Thank you so much and have a wonderful time.